playing Spider-Man is like hanging out with an old pal. And I think we were really restricted with what we could do in the last movie because of COVID. We shot the entire film on stages. And now we're really going to lean into that old school filmmaking and shoot in real locations, which is why we're starting in Glasgow. And we're going to use the streets of Glasgow for this massive set piece that we're putting together. So it's going to feel like making Spider-Man 1 again. You know, it's been such a long time since I've done it. It's going to feel like a breath of fresh air. And I think the fans are going to be over the moon with what we're putting together.
Hey everyone, I'm the Canadian Lad, and I may have just cracked the plot that sets up Spider-Man Brand New Day. We've known for a while now that Mark Ruffalo is back as Bruce Banner in this movie, and more recently, Jon Bernthal was confirmed to return as the Punisher. But I just couldn't wrap my head around the idea of Bruce and Peter teaming up. They have barely shared a scene in the entire MCU, not even a single conversation. So at first I was like, why would he be in a Spider-Man movie? And then you add Frank Castle into that mix, that just threw me completely off. I mean, what kind of story needs Spider-Man, the Hulk, and the Punisher all in the same room? But then I did what I always do when Marvel throws curveballs. I sat back, brewed my favorite espresso, and started digging through every clue we've got. And I started connecting the dots, and suddenly it all just clicked. Now I will admit that this Tom Holland interview was the missing piece of the puzzle. He didn't give away the plot, but what he did say gave me just enough to put the theory together. And I think I've got a pretty solid idea of how Bruce Banner fits into this, why the Punisher is showing up, and how this movie might kick off. So if you're ready to hear what could be the real setup behind Spider-Man Brand New Day, buckle up and let's begin. Recently, Tom Holland hosted this celeb-filled Pro-Am paddle tournament to promote his Brewed brewing brand. After the event, he sat down for an interview, and that's where the first real clues about Spider-Man 4 started to trickle out. Now, on the surface, he didn't say much, but if you actually pay attention to his wording and dissect it like I did, I think you'll start connecting the same dots as me. Pay attention to what Tom Holland says here.
So it's going to feel like making Spider-Man 1 again. You know, it's been such a long time since I've done it. It's going to feel like a breath of fresh air. And I think the fans are going to be over the moon with what we're putting together.
Okay, pause right there. So it's gonna feel like making Spider-Man 1 again. It's gonna feel like a breath of fresh air, and I think the fans are gonna be over the moon with what we're putting together. Now obviously, when Tom says Spider-Man 1, he's talking about Homecoming. But I think he very deliberately used those words, because the vibe he's hinting at feels more like an actual origin story reset. Now jump to this. Just a month ago, Alex Perez from the Cosmic Circus, who's got a pretty great track record when it comes to Marvel scoops, was asked this. With Hulk being in Spider-Man Brand New Day, will he be the main villain, or will he be there for a mentor-like thing for Peter? Does this also tie right into Doomsday, where they will come in together? And Alex said, and I want you to pay attention here, what I heard involves a connection dating back to the earliest days of the MCU, and exploring some uncharted territory for both characters' personal histories. So now let's connect the dots here. What if that connection is that Bruce Banner in some experimental phase was the one who accidentally created the radioactive spider that eventually bit Peter Parker? Think about it, we've heard Peter's origin in Civil War and Homecoming, but we've never actually seen it. And in this new world post No Way Home, with no one remembering Peter, it's the perfect time to revisit that origin and show us how it really went down. And what better way to make it feel like Spider-Man 1 again than to reveal that Bruce Banner in the earliest days of his research unknowingly changed Peter's life forever. So here's how I see it. If Marvel's really about to tie Bruce Banner and Peter Parker together, two characters who have barely shared a frame in the MCU, then this might just be the way to do it. Imagine this. Before Bruce even became the Hulk, before the Gamma experiments went sideways, he was working on recreating the Super Soldier Serum. He and his team were experimenting with genetic enhancements using spiders. The idea wasn't to make a Spider-Man, but a super soldier. And maybe one of those enhanced spiders got loose and eventually found its way to a young Peter Parker. The beauty of this is the MCU never actually told us how the spider was made. No origin, no lab, no Osborn. It's been a big blank space. But now, with Brand New Day bringing Bruce into Peter's story, and with that earliest days of the MCU connection Alex Perez teased, this could be the missing link. It would also retroactively reveal something that's been hiding in plain sight. Because in Spider-Man Homecoming, during Peter's physics class, notice there was a row of framed portraits on the wall, and right next to Newton and Curie, there's Bruce Banner. At the time, it felt like a fun little Easter egg, but if Bruce actually had a hand in Peter's origin, this Easter egg now becomes retroactive foreshadowing. And honestly, the idea of Peter and Bruce being tied together through science just fits. They're both geniuses. They both wrestle with the consequences of their powers. They both had their lives changed forever by an experiment gone wrong, or maybe in Peter's case, right. So having Bruce involved in the creation of that radioactive spider not only ties their stories together, it lays the groundwork for a future dynamic between these two science bros that we've never seen before. It also makes total sense thematically, because keep in mind, Bruce was surprised when he heard about Spider-Man.
There's an Ant-Man and a Spider-Man?
He had no idea Spider-Man exists. Let me break down the timeline so it's easy for you to follow. After Age of Ultron in 2015, Bruce goes off-world. Peter debuts in Civil War in 2016, already 6 months into his powers.
And I've had these powers for 6 months.
Now, during Infinity War, Bruce is in Wakanda while Peter is in space. Peter gets snapped, and when he returns in Endgame, they still never talk. The only time they're on screen together is during Tony Stark's funeral, and even then, there's no real dialogue between them. So if they did speak, it was off camera, and we've never actually seen it. And that's why it'll be such a brilliant twist if we find out that Bruce was involved in Peter's story long before either of them knew about it. This kind of retcon not only ties Bruce and Peter together in a way that feels authentic, it gives the MCU a chance to finally explore Peter's origin. And Marvel loves doing this, taking small background details, layering in retroactive depth, and making you look back at older films like, oh wait, that actually meant something. So if Brand New Day is really about fresh starts and secret pasts, then Bruce Banner being the silent architect of Spider-Man's origin would be one hell of a way to kick things off. Now there's another angle to this. Bruce could show up as a professor at Peter's new school, like taking on a mentor role. Remember, by the end of No Way Home, Peter moves into a small New York apartment and is seen studying for the GED test. So we might actually see him earning the diploma in Brand New Day, and then applying to college. And this is where the MCU could introduce Empire State University, aka ESU, to bring in characters like Gwen Stacy, Harry Osborn, or even Miles Morales. But let's be honest, you don't bring Mark Ruffalo back just to keep him in human form. If he's in the movie, he's gonna Hulk out at some point. And that's where Mr. Negative comes in. The title Brand New Day comes straight from the comics, and one of the major villains introduced in that arc was Merton Lee, aka Mr. Negative. And recently it was reported that Marvel's looking to cast an Asian actor between 30 and 50 years old for a major role in Spider-Man 4. And this lines up perfectly with Merton Lee. So here's my theory. Merton Lee now runs Feast, the very organization that Aunt May devoted her life to. He appears noble, trustworthy, and the perfect quote-unquote pillar of the community character. But behind the scenes, he's running a gang doing illegal stuff. And at some point, he confronts Bruce Banner. And when he touches him with his corruptive, negative energy, Bruce hulks out. But something's different. Instead of the usual green, we get a gray Hulk this time. A savage, unstable version that's under Merton Lee's control. This does two things. First, it depowers Hulk, which makes a three-way fight with Spider-Man and the Punisher actually plausible. And second, it gives us a comic-accurate Hulk redesign. Just imagine a mind-controlled Grey Hulk beating the shit out of Spider-Man, and then the Punisher comes to the rescue and carries a wounded Spidey just like in the comics. It'll be chaos. It'll be exactly the kind of Hulk mayhem we've been missing lately. And this would perfectly set up a monster version of Hulk again for Avengers Doomsday and Secret Wars, and could also set up a future World War Hulk film if done right. Now let's talk about Frank Castle. We last saw Punisher escaping a cage at the end of Daredevil Born Again Season 1. He's on the run, and this will lead directly into a special presentation on Disney+. My theory is this special presentation will involve him trying to hunt Wilson Fisk. But along the way, I think Frank runs into something bigger, something darker. He stumbles into the operations of a gang called the Inner Demons. Now, if you've read the comics or played Spider-Man PS4 game, you know exactly who they are. The Inner Demons are the private army of Mr. Negative, and they're neck-deep in New York's criminal underworld. We're talking drug trafficking, protection rackets, illegal gambling, even human trafficking. And if there's one thing Frank Castle doesn't tolerate, it's that kind of evil. So Frank starts dismantling this gang piece by piece. And in doing so, he becomes the first person to figure out that the man running the Inner Demons is Merton Lee. But Merton Lee isn't just a crime boss. He's also the well-respected head of Feast. To the public, he's a savior. To Peter Parker, he's a symbol of hope. Someone who's keeping Aunt May's legacy alive. So imagine the tension when Frank shows up and tells Peter flat out, Lee's not who you think he is, Red. He's a dirty son of a bitch. And he's running this city from the shadows. This sets up some serious emotional conflict. Because now, Peter is forced to question everything. Is Merton Lee the man who gave so much to the people Peter trying to protect? Or the monster poisoning the city from within? But for Frank, this is easy. He doesn't care about legacies or reputations. He sees a bad guy, he takes him down. So now you've got Punisher and Spider-Man, two totally different kinds of heroes, forced to work together where one thinks with his heart and the other with a scope and a trigger. And just to raise the stakes even more, what if Martin Lee is also gunning for Wilson Fisk? Imagine Brand New Day putting Mr. Negative and Kingpin on a collision course. Two crime lords, each trying to control the city in their own way, while Spider-Man and Punisher are caught in the crossfire. But hey, as much as I'd love for all of this to be true, let's not forget it's still just a theory. None of this is confirmed by Marvel yet, and for all we know, Bruce Banner might just show up to grab a coffee and bounce. So yeah, take everything I said with a grain of salt. A big, gamma-irradiated grain of salt. But I do hope some of this ends up happening. I think Spider-Man Brand New Day could give us something really special. An origin story without re-showing the origin. New villains with real emotional weight, and unexpected team-ups that push Peter into totally new territory. Until we get that trailer or official plot details, this is just one possible path. But man, it's a path I'd love to see. Let me know what you think in the comments. Did you like any of my theories? Would you want to see Grey Hulk tearing through New York? Or Martin Lee as the next big street-level threat? Now thanks to my friend Peevely Artist for making this awesome thumbnail for me. He's an amazing artist and you should definitely follow him on Instagram. Now lads, please give me a thumbs up if you like this video, grab the subscribe button and turn notifications on. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter to get updates about my videos. I'll see you lads in the next one.
See you around, Red.